Hello everyone and welcome back to Very Cold Lasagna, your filthy casual place where all the filthy casual takes on the world of sports. I am DylanLasagna and welcome back for another video and another preview of my San Francisco 49ers as they look to take command of Christmas Eve and Week 16 as they take on the Washington Commanders. And yeah, not really as much of a bigger week as much weeks in the 2022 season because, well, the 49ers have got their playoff spot. They got the NFC West. And yeah, a lot of these final three games are like, what's more there to do? Well, as we get deeper into this preview video, there's a little bit more that needs to be done in terms of, well, getting ready for the playoffs. So we'll get into that. We will get to that in this preview for the Washington Commanders, for the 49ers. So anyway, looking back at the week that was for both of these teams, obviously for my 49ers, because they played first, they dominated Tom Brady and the Bucs in week 14. They had no time to rest, though. They had to go to Seattle just a few days later for their key big matchup against the Seattle Seahawks and Geno Smith in the first week 15 matchup of this past week, and that ended up being a solid game for the 49ers. You know, they were a little beat up on the injury front, especially to the third string quarterback, Brock Purdy, dealing with his own rib injury. And, you know, even with that injury, Brock Purdy played okay. He played pretty well, you know, had some inexperience, his first real inexperience, some mistakes, but he overcame them. And he still looked efficient in the critical moments of the game. And the defense was the star of the game for the 49ers. They mostly held Geno Smith in check. And with constant pressure up front, really good tackling to stop them short of first downs. And the 49ers went down to Seattle, down their division rivals, 21-13, swept the Seattle Seahawks for the first time since 2011, and clinched the NFC West. So that was a big win for the 49ers. They got their playoff spot. They get to host a playoff game. And yeah, of course, the big question that we'll keep asking, like, what's next? What's the next for the 49ers? What's the next step for Kyle Shanahan? We're going to get to that. Meanwhile, for the Washington Commanders, as the Niners were chilling, relaxing a little on their Sunday night, the Commanders were coming off their bye week. They marched into a key Sunday night football matchup in a Week 13 rematch against the New York Giants for an important playoff tiebreaker in the wild card race. Remember, the Giants and the Commanders tied each other literally just like 2 weeks ago when they played each other. But then they're meeting each other again, this time on a Sunday night, just not that long ago. But man, that was kind of a disappointment by Taylor Heinicke and the Commanders offense because they were instantly and constantly facing the heat from the Giants pass rush, most notably the one-man wrecking crew, their rookie, Kayvon Thibodeau. And it led to a lot of missed opportunities for that offense. And two critical fumbles by Taylor Heinicke on top of the defense's inability to stop the rushing attack of Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones. Yeah, it wasn't good for Washington. They couldn't take command of the game. They cut it close. They grinded until the end, until they couldn't. The New York defense stood them up at the goal line, albeit some officiating help, some questionable officiating. With a minute left, the Giants held on to beat Washington 20-12 in that game. So, not a good performance by the Commanders on a Sunday night against the Giants. And now, all of a sudden, their playoff hopes are on life support. So, they're coming into this game against the 49ers, who have already clinched the division, but they still have their own playoff aspirations, like climbing up in terms of seeding. Meanwhile, for the Commanders, their hopes are on life support. They are coming in desperate to get a win here, to get an upset win over my 49ers. So, for my 49ers, going into this game, it's like, what's the next step? What's the goal? Obviously, the focus seems to be on the number 2 seed. The thing is, though, like, how do you get there? How do you get there? You're probably going to need some help from obviously winning these next 3 games against obviously the Commanders, going to Las Vegas to face the Raiders, and then the season finale against the Arizona Cardinals. But then the other factor is the Minnesota Vikings. They somehow keep lucking into victories. Hence, also, the 33-point comeback, the largest comeback in NFL history against Matt Ryan and the Colts. Yeah, the Colts are on the wrong side of history of that one, as they clinched the NFC North in Week 15 and clinched history as well. But the Vikings, they have a slightly more favorable schedule against the Giants, although the Giants defense can give Minnesota's offensive line some fits, as seen in that Sunday night game against Washington with Taylor Heineke. And then for the Packers, in Week 17, if Aaron Rodgers still plays, and he probably will, even if they lose to the Dolphins on Christmas Day, Aaron Rodgers is stubborn as hell. He's not going to go down without a fight, even though the Packers may be eliminated from playoff contention if they lose to the Dolphins. So who knows what the Packers will be like come Week 17 in a home win or go home game. And then obviously Week 18, even though the Bears absolutely have nothing to play for, Justin Fields still competes at a very high level. Just look at what he did to the 49ers all the way back in Week 1. Showed up ready to play. So, yeah, all depends on what the opponents for the Minnesota Vikings can do to Minnesota. Can they somehow find a way to beat the Vikings? And if the Vikings slip up on one of these games, yeah, then definitely, as long as the 49ers take care of their business, they do their thing, they win at least one or more, hopefully all 3 of their final 3 games, then they can definitely be the number 2 seed. Now, there are some people saying that they can possibly be the number 1 seed as well, because of the Jalen Hurts injury, the sprained shoulder injury. I highly doubt that the Eagles are going to lose out. Even if they lose to the Cowboys, they'll probably beat the Saints. They'll probably beat the Giants. I doubt they get the number 1 seed. So realistically, we're looking at the number 2 or at worst the number 3 seed. We have either one locked up. So whichever one we get, it's it doesn't matter. As long as the Niners can stay healthy, as long as they can play at a high level, then yeah, whichever seed is much more attainable, then yeah, that's fine. So looking at this game in particular for the 49ers against the Commanders, looking at the Commanders list, it's yeah, they're healthy, but man, how do they play at such a mid-level? So the Commanders, have a much more, healthier list than the 49ers. I think the 3 most notable injuries that are standing out right now are actually healthy ones for Washington. Guard Andrew Noel being limited in practice with a shoulder injury. Even though he played against the Giants, he's playing through that injury. Chase Young, one of their key defensive linemen from last year, tore his ACL, but he's been practicing, and it seems like he was on his way to playing against the Giants, but I guess they wanted to hold him out for at least another week. Seems like he's going to play against the 49ers this Saturday, unless something else happens. Cornerback Benjamin St-Juste also returned to practice after missing 3 games with an ankle injury, so it seems like he's also on track to play this game, barring a setback. Meanwhile, for my 49ers, they did get some positive news on Javon Kinlaw. His practice window opened from injured reserve. He's been out since week 4 with the knee issue. So if they can get him back this game against Washington, definitely great. If not, then I'm not going to sweat it too much. Rookie defensive lineman that I totally forgot we even had, Kalia Davis, who was a 6th round draft pick last April. He had his practice window open. He actually was never on injured reserve. He was on the non-football DPI. I don't know what that stands for. it was like a different list from injured reserve. So it actually doesn't use up one of the injured reserve slots. So that's good. So he actually suffered a torn ACL last year while he was in Central Florida. So I guess that's good that he's coming back. Actually add some depth to the defensive line when we actually suffered a lot of injuries on that front. Kerry Hyder Jr. been a limited participant in practice as he deals with the ankle injury from the Bucs game. He played through the injury in the Seahawks game. So, yeah, he's a fighter, man. He's a fighter. Brock Purdy, limited in practice with his oblique and rib injuries, although he seems to be progressing well despite it. And Kyle Shanahan already talked about how he's been feeling better from said injuries. Charvarius Ward continues to go through the concussion protocol. He was recently seen out of the blue non-contact jersey, so that's really good with this progress. He seems on track to playing this Saturday. Sam Womack, the other corner, the rookie, been a full participant, and seems like he's gonna come back for the game against Washington this Saturday after being out on the short turnaround with the concussion. So it seems like we're going to get some players back and others not so much. So the main thing is for the 49ers is that they got to stay healthy and, avoid any major or minor injuries for these final 3 games and go into the playoffs as healthy as they can be. So looking at this game against the Commanders, some players to watch includes the potentially returning defensive end Chase Young. I mean, if the biggest strength for Washington right now is that defensive line. I mean, as strong as the Niners defensive line is, the Commanders is also equally strong. Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, and then you add in Chase Young. I mean, sure, he'll be rusty to get back in there after not playing for almost a year. Like, he could still be a force in that defensive line once you add him back in. So it'll take some time to obviously get his feet wet again. But once he starts feeling the flow in that game, the offensive line for the 49ers has to really protect Brock Purdy. Receiver Tarek McLaurin, one of Taylor Heineke's favorite weapons, go-to weapons, the top receiving option in that offense. I mean, obviously, you got to watch out for Scary Terry if you're the 49ers. Ryan Robinson, the running back, lately he's been the preferred option. He can be good between the tackles, and he can be a hard-nosed runner in the middle. So the Niners got to really, for as good as that run defense can be, they really got to solidify the middle, the outside, to stop Brian Robinson. For the 49ers, the offensive line, specifically Mike McGlinchey, because like I said, with that pass rush, especially Chase Young coming back potentially, yeah, they really have to protect Brock Purdy from getting hit, getting pressured, because the more hits he takes, the more he's going to get really hurt for it going into the playoffs. So you got to protect him. And Mike McGlinchey, man, come on. Can you at least go one game without a penalty? Can you? Dre Greenlaw. This is going to be a game where he's probably going to be motivated that he got snubbed from the Pro Bowl. I can just sense it. He really wants to swarm around the field, tackling players, going for the kill on Taylor Heineke. So this is going to probably be one of those games where he's extra motivated. I can feel it. Nick Bosa, the Commanders' offensive line, it can be very on and off at times. So, Nick Bosa, still one of those premier edge rushers. So, yeah, he's going to be one. He can be a force in attacking the offensive line for the Commanders. So, looking at the keys to victory for both of these teams, for Washington, that offensive line has to do a better job of protecting Taylor Heineke. That game against the Giants, where they just let Kayvon Thibodeau run over them, that was not good at all. Literally almost every single play that the Commanders had on offense, Kayvon Thibodeau was like ready to go. Just like bull rushing, so like running around at the speed of sound. At the whistle, he was like by the time the whistle got there, it's like Thibodeau was just like there at Heineke. Like the offensive line has to protect Heineke because he's not just gonna be facing like one man, Nick Bosa. He's gonna be facing multiple people, a rotating number of people in the Niners defensive front. So yeah, the offensive line for Washington has to do a really good job protecting Taylor Heineke if they want to have a chance at an upset. And on the defensive side, the defensive line Sweat, Young, and Jonathan Allen, they have to be patient in pressuring Brock Purdy. Don't be like the other teams where they try to blitz all the damn time, like nearly most of their snaps. Be patient. Try to go after Brock Purdy. Then go for the kill. Work for it. And then Taylor Heineke's got to protect the football. Like even without pressure, you have to protect the football. Don't make careless mistakes. Don't like hold the football, like extend your arms with the football, and then so someone can smack it out of your hands like Thibodeau did to cause a touchdown. You just gotta like take care of the football. For the 49ers, same thing. Offensive line's got to protect Brock Purdy from Washington's also strong pass rush. And then you got to please figure out how to get Jordan Mason involved more because, I mean, I get it. Christian McCaffrey, a really strong runner outside and a good receiving option. But, you know, I would just really like to see more Jordan Mason, man. Like, he's a really good between the tackles runner. Like, it would be such a good balancing act. Please. And then don't let Taylor Heineke get too comfortable in the pocket. Don't let him get that explosive play out or any explosive plays out. Let him settle for the check down and then let the corners take care of the rest and let them get that negative yardage. So, you know, this is like with the division already wrapped up and, you know, obviously the Niners still aspire to get the number 2 seed. Again, a lot will depend on what happens with the Minnesota Vikings going forward. So for now, the Niners just have to take care of the business and go on with their final 3 games, including this one. So obviously, like, I think this is a winnable game for the 49ers. It just depends on, like, obviously, like, what goes on around the league. They still gotta play hard, of course, but their results with the Vikings, it's just going to depend. It is going to depend a lot on how the Niners approach these next 3 games. So I'm going to pick the Niners to beat the Commanders in a little bit of a closer game than you imagine, just because the Commanders a little slightly stronger defense, but we'll see what the Niners can do in Brock Purdy's, 4th game? Technically, 4th game playing. We'll see what happens. So we'll see what happens this Saturday on a Christmas Eve with the 49ers. So anyway, this is DylanLasagna, a very cold lasagna, signing out, and keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until next time, peace out.